thing she said to me, she said, "It's been like having a therapist in the house." She said, like you sit between me and my husband and you listen to what we both want and you somehow find a way to navigate that suits us both and gives us both what we need in that confines of that space.
Hello and welcome to Parenting for Thought. My guest today is George Tanner, who is a decluttering expert, let's say. But George can probably introduce herself a whole lot better than I can. So, George, who are you? What do you do? What do you bring into the table for us today?
I'm George. I live in London in the UK and I'm a professional organiser. That's the fancy term for it. But I help women declutter and organise homes either in person or online through my membership or just through one-to-one sessions. I just help people try and reclaim their space, make it work for them rather than it being somewhere that becomes a burden for them, which it usually is.
I'm I'm not sure that listeners are going to have a hard time understanding why most of your audience is women. But for those who might not be sure, can we talk about that for a minute? Why might it be that your audience is mostly women?
I think that whole thing, of like you can have it all. Well, women have got it all, right? Whether they want it or not, they've got it all. So they are responsible for everything. They're responsible for the house, the kids, the food, their jobs. Um, it's so funny because I talk a lot about working women, and whenever I say that, people go, "Well, I'm a full-time mom," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're a working woman. Anybody who's got children is a working mom. If you then have another job on top of that, you've got two jobs." So I just think it's that it's the world that we live in, it's the way it's all happened, but women take responsibility. And so when the women who reach out to me, it's because they are at the end of their tether. They don't know what to do. They know it's all happening. They don't know how to approach it,
Mhm.
but it's their responsibility. It's never, it's never. I think I've had one man in the 5 years I've been working. I think I've had one man, and it was after the death of his wife. And it was like he was grieving and he'd lived in the house and he didn't know what to do. And his girlfriends that were around him had said to him, "You need some help, get a woman in."
Whoa.
Mm,
That is a shocking story. And
yeah.
at the same time not at all surprising, but it really I felt in my body, I had this visceral reaction to that of gosh, this is going to be divisive. Maybe somebody watching or listening isn't going to like this. Um, but man, what is the deal, men? Why you're just as capable. You are not, you know, helpless. What's the deal, babes? Why can't you see when this clutter is all around you? And I want to be so clear that I'm not saying that to shame. It's really coming from a place of, I mean, I am married to a man, and we have run into problems like this over and over and over again, where I'll say this feels cluttered or this doesn't feel right. I don't feel like I can claim this space. And he'll look at me like, "What are you even talking about? Like, this is just our home. This is just how it is." And I'm going, but we get to decide how our
Yeah.
home feels for us. And this part of the home does not feel okay for me. It doesn't have the flow I want it to have, or it doesn't feel calm, or like I notice how the space I'm in affects me. And through more and more conversations over the past, 8 years of our marriage, he started to understand that now. And now he's finally at a place where he will notice how a space affects him as well, which is fantastic. And I'm grateful that we can have that conversation now. But it took 8 years of my labor to get there.
So my son is 13, and during the time of him growing up, I try and give him new things to do and new tasks to do. And so in the past year or so, I've been saying to him, okay, I want you to do the dishwasher, empty it and load it. But I also want you to do the bins. I want you to empty them when they get full. But the thing for me that I've been talking to him a lot about is I don't want to have to ask you. So it's that next step for me. And I think one of the things as parents that we do is we do this thing where we ask our children to do things, we ask our partners to do things as well, but we ask them all the time to do all these things. But we never then take it to the next level of say, you are responsible for this and
Mhm.
you need to see when it needs to be done. So that's what
Mhm.
we're working on at the moment. And he's not getting it all the time. I was like ramming stuff in the bin this morning, going, oh my word, the bin is full. It's like I really don't want to have to say, "Can you empty the bin?"
Yeah.
But yeah, because
Yeah.
this is the thing. So for me, it's like that is my responsibility, right? For my responsibility is to turn out a son. So
Mhm.
whatever he does in the future, whoever he is with in the future, whether he's on his own or with somebody else, that he's one of those people that sees things that need to be done and does them.
Yeah.
Because you get so many men who like when I've had it so many times when people just like, well, you just have to ask, and it's like, but why? Who's asking me?
I gotta
Who's asking me? I'm just like, hang on a minute. Did somebody ask me to clean all your clothes and do the shopping and put food on the table? Did somebody ask me to do? No, oh no, nobody asked me to do it. So how come I see it and you don't? So
Yeah.
I do think it is a change in approach that we have to take as parents
Mhm.
to teach our children to see it, because I
Yeah.
think now why women see it and men don't, maybe that's something to do with the way that we were brought up and expectations and social environment and all those sorts of things. But yeah, we definitely see it and men don't.
Yeah, I there are social scientists out there who, they've got a full handle on this and they can pinpoint it and draw us a cute little timeline way better than we could, but at the end of the day, those of us who know. Yeah,
Yeah.
we know what's happening. Whether we can trace it back to a root is really irrelevant because what's happening is it's affecting our everyday lives now.
I
Um,
think the other thing is for me, it's language as well, though, because I think because women generally are they apologize for the space they're in. They're always like trying to people please, smooth things over. They play this role of like mediator all their lives. And one of the things that I've started talking about a lot on social media, because for me it's about changing the narrative, and about changing how things happen in your house. And one of the things I say to people is that you can just really make more like small changes that can make a massive difference. So when you ask someone to do something, which, you don't want to ask them, but let's say you're in that stage still of asking people to do something, it's so easy. And we all do it. And I still do it, even though I think about it and talk about it all the time, to say, can you do the dishwasher for me? And I say to people,
For
just take away those
me.
last two words. Don't say for me,
Yep,
just say, can you do the dishwasher?
yep,
And I think, and it's that whole thing. So automatically we're taking ownership, right? Can you
yes.
do this for me? Can you do that for me? It's not my stuff unless I'm asking you to like zip my dress up. It's not for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah,
not for me.
yeah.
It's it's for the
For the
house. It's
house,
for
for all we
well,
all
yeah.
I get into this with parents, a lot where I am big on teaching kids age appropriate responsibilities. And I was working with clients recently. We were talking about chores and it was really cute because I said, does your 4-year old, almost 4-year old have any chores? And they're like, well, he has to, take his shoes off and put them away, and he has to like make his bed and he has to clear his plate. And I'm going, those aren't chores. That is, those are regular responsibilities of being in a family and sharing the home. And it was really sweet to watch their perspective shift in real time. And they're going, huh, what are our expectations of our children? What have we taught them? And it's this teaching piece, right?
Yeah.
And I love to say that we can never expect something of a child, and specifically a child, because that's the work I'm in, but of anybody. that we haven't taught them. So,
It's so true. And that's the thing, organising, decluttering, all that stuff, right? We need to teach our children so that they become good at it, right? And
yeah.
yeah, I think, you know, there's that thing where like, when you're growing up and there's all those like tidy up songs and all that, everyone's like, and I just think, but we tell kids to tidy up, but then we don't tell them how to do it, right? So we just say, oh, just tidy up your room.
Yeah. What does that
What,
mean?
and what does it
What's the
mean?
expectation? What's
Exactly.
and then George, then we get into neurodivergence. And
Yes.
what tidy up means to one child will mean something completely different to another. My
Yeah.
ADHD niece, God bless this child. It's literally, I think I birthed her through her mom. Bless. She wants to tidy her room because she loves the idea of organization, and she'll get excited about it. And she's like, yeah, I want things to be organized. And this is my vision. And my vision is huge,
Yeah.
and has no idea the steps it takes to get there. And then she
Yeah.
burns out partway through, and then she's just frustrated. So,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so that's the thing. My son was diagnosed, I think it's going to be 4 or 5 years ago now. Um, and obviously, as a parent, what you do when you've got kids is you work out what works for them, right? So before I knew or I had any idea that anything was going on for him, you just try lots of different things. And I'd found things that work. And then when he got his diagnosis, I was like, that's why it works. Because then I
hmm.
started looking at all this stuff. One of the things I do for him, is that we started to get to the stage where I was like, I'm not going to try and tidy your room every day. We're just going to leave it. But once a week, we're going to get in there. So you can just run free for a week. I'm going to remove that burden from myself. I'm going to shut the door on it. And once a week, we will pitch in and we will do it. And we used to walk in, I'd be like, right, let's tidy up. And the way that I used to do it with my son is I used to say to him, right, you tidy the cars and I will tidy this. So you collect all the cars and put them in that basket there, and I'm going to go and do this. And we'd do that. And then I'd give him the next job. And then I'd give him the next job. So we just took the whole thing and broke it down. And it's just a skill that I see him do it now. He walks into his room and he's like, right, it can feel massively overwhelming, but he can walk in and he can say, right, I'm going to go and get all of my comics and I'm going to go and sort those out. And then I'm going to go and get all my pens and I'm going to sort those out. So he's automatically, and he's learned that, but
Yeah.
if I hadn't taken the time to teach him, he'd just be standing in his room and he'd just go off and start playing with the toy
Yeah.
or doing whatever. And then I'd come in and go, why haven't you tidied it? I asked you ages ago. And then you get all this conflict and stuff. And it's like, it's my responsibility to teach him.
And we have to do that for ourselves too. Your
Mm.
audience is mostly adult women who are looking to make their spaces feel more approachable and cozy and whatever else, just more fit for their daily lives. When did they learn these skills? And especially if you have a mostly neurodivergent audience, well, when they were young, they were my niece when they were little, right? They were the ones
Yeah.
who were struggling to figure out, what does tidy up mean? And who was teaching them? People who had even less of a clue about neurodivergence than we do right now.
Yeah. And also, it's all the little tricks you can work. So I work with a lot of women now. I work with neurotypical women, but a lot of the women I'm working with now are turning up and they're like, oh, I'm in the process, or I've just been late diagnosed with ADHD, and it's all starting to happen. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that I find really funny about it all is that they all think they're really bad at organisation. So they'll sit there and they'll say, I've been diagnosed with ADHD, so I'm terrible at organisation. And I get in and I'm like, you're not. Because if I just peel back this layer here, right, which has just got a bit chaotic, I can see you've got things grouped together. I can see you've got things labelled. I can see you've got structure. I can see you've thought about where things should go. And then you've just got overwhelmed with it all.
Yeah.
And it's all just, but I can see you've got it there. You know
Yeah.
what you're doing. You're not disorganized. I hate that whole ADHD disorganized. They're not. The ADHD women I know are some of the most successful, driven individuals with, amazing jobs, doing amazing things, having great children, managing it all, blah, 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 blah. But then they take responsibility for it. And I'm like, did you put that there? No, you didn't. Did you put that there? No, you didn't. Did you do that? No, you didn't. So it's like all this stuff is going on. And it's like, you're right. They haven't been taught, but actually they've got the basics there. But then
Mhm.
then they take responsibility for everything. And
Yeah.
it's just a mindful of stuff that needs all unpicking.
You know, and I'm sure that you'll relate to this. So, for folks who don't know, I've done this kind of work before myself, just like as like a little side hustle, mostly during COVID times. And I love this kind of work, because just like you're saying, I would go to a client's house and we'd take stock of what was going on. We would do like a whole home walkthrough, and they would show me, this is a problem area, this is a problem area, and then I would have them describe to me the flow, because it's not just that the laundry would end up in a giant pile in this part of the house. It's this knock-on effect, of, well, I can't put it in the place that I want it to be because of this other thing that's happening. And it's like you have to pull on the thread and until you find the yarn ball a few meters
Yeah.
behind. But I always found that so interesting, and I loved leaning into it with these folks and going, well, why do you think that you have to do it this way? Is it like because you watched Marie Kondo do it that way? Marie
Yeah.
Kondo's great. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way if that works for you. Just because it works for a million other people does not mean that that's the right strategy for you. So let's find your strategy.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that you use the word flow. I love it because that's what I talk about all the time. It is my favorite word because, and that's the thing is I can do things online and I can say to people, this is a good way to do this or this is a good way to approach that. And there are some things that are like more cookie cutter than other things. But
Sure.
for me, everything is so personal. Everything is about that house, those people, what's happening, who's going to what, is it that you're both out at work? Is it that you're in the house, they're in the house? Who's coming in? When are they coming in? Who's like going to what club? Where's that stuff going? It's all the
Yeah.
things that happen, which mean that sometimes I'll say to people, that stuff there, don't put it there, put it over here. And they're like, but that's not where those sort of things should go normally. I'm like, but it's where you need them.
Yes.
So that's where we're
Yes.
going to put them. There's no hard rules. Everyone's always like, where should I put this thing? And I'm like, wherever it makes sense for you to put it.
Yes. If you
Flow
want
is so true.
if you want the coffee cups next to the pots and pans because that's where you're going to reach for it, then babe, put them there.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah,
it
and
is your
it
house,
is.
your rules.
I know, it's so funny, isn't it? We were talking about it the other week. I was talking about it with a friend, and we were saying, like, in the UK, we all have our washing machines and our dryers like downstairs. And if we're lucky, we've got a utility room or it's in the kitchen. And then we were talking about how, like, when you go to Europe, washing machines and dryers are in the bathrooms. And you're like, oh my God, yes. Why have we got it in our kitchen? Why have we done that? If it was in the bathroom, it's upstairs where we all take our clothes off. We
Yeah.
can then dry it upstairs and then we
Mhm.
can put it away upstairs. And it's like, why have we all suddenly decided that that's where our washing machine should be? Whereas like someone else has gone, oh no, just keep it upstairs, right? Because that's where you have all your clothes. It's like, why are we not doing things like that? That's where the revolution is.
George, wait a second. You're not saying that we should try to make our daily lives more accessible for ourselves, are you?
Oh my God, what make our lives easier than they need to be? No,
No. Don't be ridiculous.
let's build in some more complexity to our
Yeah,
lives
let's
because there
make
isn't
it
enough, right?
harder. There's not enough to do in a day.
Exactly.
I mean,
Those hours that you get to
seriously.
have a cup of tea? Oh, you know, that
I'm
moment you sit
telling
down
you.
at like 10 o'clock at night, think of what you could be doing.
Will someone
Oh,
think
dear,
of the
it
children?
is. Exactly. So yeah, and that is it for me. It's like, you know, so that's why I wanted to be called Simplify, because for me, you know, when I first started thinking of my business name, I was like, you know, everyone was like, get the word decluttering because that's what it's about and blah blah blah. And I was like, and then I was like, someone else was like, get the word organising because that's what it's about. And I was like, and I was sitting there and I was like, none of that sits right with me, right? So
Yeah.
for me, it was always about, I want to make your life simpler, and
Yeah.
that could be doing radical things, moving things around. It could be getting rid of a load of stuff. It could be just putting organisation in. It
Yeah.
could be, you know, it could be sitting down with you and talking about what's going on in your house, who's doing what, how we can get other people to start claiming stuff. It is about simplifying your life. That's what it's about, right? Nothing else.
I'm I find I'm getting emotional. For folks who have known me for a while, like, whatever, you know, this is who I am. I so firmly believe that there have been so many societal failures that have led these individuals to this point where they're sitting there looking at their home and they're looking at their laundry piles and they're looking at their children who they love and they're looking at their partner who they, maybe love, I don't know.
So true.
This
Yeah,
is
maybe.
this is real life, folks. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And and again, we're talking specifically women who feel the weight and the burden of trying to make everything feel right. And it's so overwhelming and it's so not fair.
Yeah.
And then, there's people like you and I and hordes of other entrepreneurs specifically who are desperately trying to equip the people in their circle of influence with this knowledge, saying, I will help you. I will fight with you to help you make your life better. We will claw our way to getting you where you want to be. And I love that these movements are happening. I'm so here for it. I'm literally part of it myself. And I'm devastated that it has to happen like this.
Yeah, I was listening to something the other day. There's a woman, actually, I think she's quite big in the US as well. She's called Sharon Hogan. She's an Irish actor. I'm trying to think of the program that she did. She did a thing called Divorce in the US. I've never seen it, but she does all these like acting stuff, and she only started getting famous when she was in her, 30s, and now she's in her 50s, and she's becoming really famous. She's just done a thing for Apple TV called Bad Sisters. She's on the second series. It's brilliant. If you haven't watched it, it's about
Okay.
5 Irish sisters who are trying to kill one of their husbands. It's brilliant. It's really
That
good.
sounds
It's quite
really
dark and a bit funny. But she was talking about so she was talking to Louis Theroux when they were interviewing. It's on his podcast. I was listening to it, and they were talking about the film industry and the way the film industry is changing, and has it changed? Is it becoming? And she said, the part of the problem is that we advance so far, and it's so hard to advance that little bit that we move from 2% to 5%, and then we're exhausted, right? And so then we sit back a bit, and then it all just drops back massively back down to 2% again. So then we have to start clawing again. And I think that's one of the things that I think is that, we're in 2025. You had this movement in the 1970s of like women trying to reclaim stuff, and it's like, how far have we traveled? And it is not anywhere near far enough, and it is not our fault. And I do think, and I know this sounds like really conspiracy, but we're so caught up with having to do and get things done that we're too exhausted to change the things. So then it just becomes that we just continue the cycle, right?
you're barking up the right tree over here. I make no bones about it that almost everything, if we trace it far enough, we will inevitably end at capitalism and then by necessity patriarchy.
Yeah.
if that's a tough truth for someone listening to hear, I'm sorry to tell you. If I've said this before on another episode of my podcast, that I'm madly in love with the podcast You're Wrong About. Sarah Marshall is an incredibly brilliant researcher, writer, journalist, and podcast host. But one of the things that she very often says is, it was capitalism all along. And it's so freaking true.
Yeah. It is. It's that whole patriarchy, that whole keeping you down, keeping you busy, setting expectations. I've just been reading, I've forgotten the name of the woman who wrote the book, but I'm reading Living Deliciously at the moment. I'm trying to remember the name of the book. I'll look it up for you and send it to you. But she's just talking about like beauty standards and things like that. And again, it's just another way to keep women in a certain place, because you're spending so much time trying to live up to this unrealistic expectation of beauty.
Yeah.
And, everything is just consuming your time.
Yeah.
And if you're not any of those things, and I'm definitely finding it as I'm getting older, so I'm 52 now, and so I've become part of the invisible woman nature now. Like
Right. You're
men,
postmenopausal. You
yeah,
need
exactly. Men
you
don't
can't
see me anymore.
you can't provide us with anything.
No, I've had it. I'm on the shelf, right? So as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, that's it. I'm done, right? I've lived my youth. I've had my worth, and I'm done.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that it's so freeing because it's part of that expectation. And I thought I'd feel sad about it, but I don't. And I think that's why you get women starting to be like, if you look at Jane Fonda, I mean, she's always been outspoken, but, you look at Jane Fonda, you look at all these women who are starting to be really outspoken.
Yeah.
And again, even with that, there is this narrative that goes along with, like, oh, she's just a mad old woman.
You're
Because
so
when you
right.
start to get to this age and start to peel off everybody's expectations and stuff and go, oh, I don't need any of that anymore, you start going, oh, hang on a minute, what's been going on in my life? Why did I do that? Why did I do this? Oh, I'm not going to do that now. And I'm going to start speaking out. It's really easy then to put me in a box and go, oh, well, you're just a mad old woman, aren't you?
Mhm.
Go,
Yeah.
so I don't have to listen to you, right?
Yeah. As a non-binary person, I get put in the, oh well, you're just a confused woman narrative a lot. Sure, if that's what helps you
Yeah,
sleep at
just
night.
a little bit, yeah, just a little bit confused.
Yeah.
It's all right. You'll grow out of it. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah.
Just a fad. You know what? ADHD is just a fad as well. That doesn't exist either.
Oh,
Did you know that?
and
So,
it's
yeah.
caused by red dye number 40.
Yeah. It doesn't exist. We've just made it up. It's not true. It doesn't exist,
It's an
right? Yeah.
American lie.
Yeah, it is. It's all world over. It's not just in America, There's all these people looking for special dispensation because they've got ADHD. It's like, yeah, it makes me laugh, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Okay, George, it talk to me. There has been a massive, minimalism movement. I don't know, starting in the early 2000s or something. It's like all of the millennials who grew up with parents who were hoarders. I don't mean like actual hoarders, I mean like pack
Yeah.
rats. Like, they just couldn't let stuff go. Um, it's like all of us were raised in homes that never felt really good for us, and so then we were like, "Okay, listen, when we get our own apartments and our own homes, we're not doing it that way. I want only the things that I have to have." And then that movement got really, really big, and people like idealized it, and they were like, "This is the best way to live because you have less stuff." And that's a good thing. And now I'm seeing this shift to maximalism and people saying, "Well, I love all of my treasures that I've collected and I want to put them all out." Now, I'm always in favor of something that's like smack down the middle, right? Where
Yeah.
just let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. But what are you seeing in terms of this minimalism versus maximalism? And like, is it freaking people out and they're coming to you going, "Which one should I do? How should I live?"
I don't think any of the people I work with are even aware of that stuff going on. I think everybody I'm
Whoa.
with, I think they're so knee deep in like living day in, day out. And actually, when they come to me, They just know that something's not working. They
Mhm.
know their environment doesn't feel right, and they want to relax and they want to feel calm, and they can't, and they're exhausted and they don't know what to do, where to start, how to fix it. I don't, they don't think they've even got to the stage of thinking, so sometimes I'll walk into rooms, and for me, it's not just about the stuff that they've got, it can be about the furniture. So I can walk into a room and I'll say, do you know, have you tried putting that chair over there? And they'll go, no. And then they'll move the chair, and then suddenly and I've had no training in feng shui or whatever it is, but I just feel like we move into a home, we shove things in,
Yeah.
we then start trying to unpack while we're working and getting the kids, and we're doing all of that stuff. And then things just end up staying where they've been put. And
Mhm.
we don't even have enough time to stand back and just go, oh, hang on, does this room look right? Does it feel right? What's going on for it? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the people that I work with are so far away from that. They're
Wow.
just so knee deep in life that they're just not aware of what's going on as movements they're changing.
Right. Right. Yeah, they've got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got kids to get to school, they've got to get into that meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
then they're worrying about what's going to be cooked for dinner, and then they've got their in-laws coming to stay, and the
Oh,
spare room's full of rubbish, and they don't know where they're going to sleep, and then, there's a kids' party, and then it's just like
yeah.
all this stuff that's just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, yeah, it's too much.
It almost sounds like, and I think this is true with most things, but you tell me if this sounds right for you and your clientele. It sounds to me like the work that you do is more about focusing on a mindset shift than it is about a physical shift of items.
Definitely. It definitely is. And I think that's what it's so funny. I remember one of my first clients I was working with, she phoned me and she was like, I can't cope. It's too much. I've got two kids. I work full time. My husband's working full time. It's too much. I think we need to move house. We haven't got enough room. And I was like, okay, let me come and talk to you. And then she was like, but you need to talk to my husband first because he collects stuff. So he's like collecting all this stuff. He collected china, and he's like, and he doesn't want anything to happen to his china. And so I spoke to him on the phone, and then I went and worked with them, and we got to the stage where one of the things they said was like, we thought we were going to have to move house because we had no room. We were outgrown it, but we hadn't. You've made space where we didn't think there was space. But the
Wow.
other thing she said to me, she said, it's been like having a therapist in the house. She said, like you sit between me and my husband and you listen to what we both want, and you somehow find a way to navigate that suits us both and gives us both what we need in that confines of that space. And yeah, a lot of it is that mindset, and shifting that mindset and trying to see it. And when you're with somebody else and at loggerheads with somebody else, you can't see a way through it. And even if you haven't got any conflict and you are just living in the environment, you can't step back enough to be, you know,
You can't be objective when you're the one who's living in it every day and being affected by the way that it
yeah.
feels.
Yeah, and I do think, that mindset change for me, about it's not all of yours, it's not your responsibility. You've got to start calling people out. You've got to start looking about what you're prepared to take ownership for.
Yeah.
It's not going to change until you start. So I can come in, if I'm doing an in-person stuff, I can come in and I can do it all. But unless you change the way you're going to use that space, you're going to be in exactly the same place in
Every
another.
time.
I can change how the flow is working, so it'll be better than it was, but I can't change the behaviours of the people in the house.
Yes. Yes.
So that's what you have to change. And it's the same when I work with people online, with my members. When someone joins a membership, I do this roadmap session and I love it. We sit there and we chat and we do it online, and they take me around the house and I'm like, ooh, okay, let's have a look what's going on. And, we sit down and we talk about, what needs to happen. I can see it straight away. And I'm not joking, the roadmap sessions that I've done in the past couple of months, I've had clients in tears because I can see what's happening, and I can see that they're putting themselves at the bottom of the list, but then they're beating themselves up. So they're like not giving themselves any space, and then they're beating themselves up for what's going on in the house. Like everybody's behaviour, they're taking responsibility for everyone's behaviour in the house, and they're beating themselves up. And I'm not joking. One of the last roam up sessions I did, this woman was crying. I was crying. She'd got children who had a ADHD diagnosis. She was waiting for her diagnosis. I was in tears. She was in tears. We were like, oh God. And I was just sitting there, just saying, I just feel where you are, and I know it can be different for you. I know it can be different, but we've got to start changing some of the things. So rather than worrying about just going and emptying out your cupboards, we've got to work on the people in your house seeing things and doing things and taking ownership.
George, you and I are two sides of the same coin. Our work is literally the same. I can look when parents come to me and they're telling me this is what's going on in my home, this is what's happening with my children. I hear it, and similarly to you, I can spot it right away, right? Like people like us, we are very skilled at pattern recognition, so we can overlay that pattern, we can identify the problem areas immediately. And then we pull out the problem area, we work it, work it, work it, work it, work it, plug it back in, trial, trial, trial,
Yeah,
rinse, repeat. It's the exact same process. And I do the same thing as you. I cry with my clients all the time. And I got to tell you, and tell me if this is true for you too, that moment of validation when you say to your new client, I see you, I see
yeah,
this problem, no wonder you're tired.
yeah.
And then we're all just
And
in tears.
and also, you are doing an amazing job. How are you
Yes.
doing that, right?
Yes.
Because you are doing it all.
With
How are you
less
holding it together?
with less tools than you should have to be able to do this in a way that feels good for everyone in the home.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
It's
man.
heartbreaking, isn't it? It's heartbreaking how we've managed to get to this stage. And I think it is that thing of like, you can have it all, but don't want it all. Take it.
This is
I
not
don't want it.
this is not what we meant when we said we wanted it all.
Not this. I want this bit and this bit, and you're gonna have all the rest of it. I don't want it.
We wanted a 3 to 4 day work week and free childcare. That's what we wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, and we want at least a day a week where we can just do what we want to do, right? And we want some time to be able to read a book or go for a walk or go for a swim or meet up with friends. That's what we meant. We didn't
Yep.
mean working all these hours and then still sitting there at 10 o'clock at night. I lie in bed at night, running through my day tomorrow. So if I get up here and I do that, and then if I do that, and like before I even go to bed, like the kitchen, I'm thinking about, okay, is the
Yep.
coffee machine got water in? Yes,
Yep.
the coffee machine's got water in. Is
Yep.
everything ready? And so I can get up and slide straight into the morning.
Ding, 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 ding. You have totally hit the nail on the head. That's
Yeah.
the most relatable thing.
Yeah, it's like all the things that you prep and think and do, and no. It's like, yeah. And I would say that our house is as streamlined as you can get, right? I'm always thinking of like things that I can do, but I still have to do all of that thinking, and I'm
Yeah.
still working with the people in my house to take responsibility. It is a long process. There's no quick wins, right? There's
No,
no quick wins.
I told some clients recently, they were sharing some wins with me, and they were sharing them very casually. Like it was hilarious. We're having it was like the beginning of our session and we're having a chat. And they're like, yeah, our kid did this and this, and then our other kid did that and that. And I'm sitting there, my jaw's on the floor, and I'm going, whoa, whoa, whoa. Your child did this thing that we've
Mm,
been tirelessly working towards for months, and you're just telling me like you're like, hey, it rained today. And I'm like freaking out and getting so excited. And I'm going, do you see how this is a
mm,
direct payoff for your labor. And they were still sitting there puzzled, like, but how did it change? Why did it change? Why did the behavior shift? And I said, because you didn't take the easy way out. You did not
Yeah.
take a shortcut. You invested, you identified there's an issue, you sought out an expert, and then you dug your heels in and rolled up your sleeves and you poured yourself into your child. And now everything is changing. Look at this result. And can you please be really proud of yourselves?
But it's that thing though, isn't it? So we just don't celebrate our own successes enough. And again, it's that thing that we've been taught, right? We just head down and keep going on to the, and it's like, it's never, we don't stop and go, woohoo! We just go,
Seriously.
oh yeah, but it's still not good enough, is it? It's not good.
One
You know,
fire
what about
down,
the next
10
one?
fires to go. Okay,
Yeah.
fine, but that's one less fire.
Exactly, and rather than going, "Whoa, look at that!" Isn't that amazing?" I mean, I get so excited about stuff, right? I mean, people laugh, so I'm always chatting our stories, and I'm like, "It's such a good day today." Like yesterday, I was like, "Oh, it's such a good day." I went and did somebody's space, and I got all excited. I did this, and it was brilliant, and I'm so excited for them. And when I walk clients around and telling them what I've done, I'm like, "I've put this here, and I've put that there, and then that'll be easier for you there," and then they just laugh at me. But I'm like, I get so excited about it because I'm
Yes.
like, if
Yes.
that has just made your life easier, and you're gonna like wake up tomorrow morning and you're gonna be like, ha ha ha. I'm like, that's
Yes.
what it's about, you know, let's celebrate it.
George, I cannot tell you how excited I am to have met you in the endless world of the World Wide Web, and to have connected. And I just love it. I feel this very kindredness with you about the work that we do and the way that we get to impact clients' lives when they let us in like that. It's so special.
It is very special.
So George, if
Hmm.
there was one thing that you would want somebody listening to walk away today knowing, what would that be?
That whatever you are doing is good. Whatever you are doing in your home is brilliant. Your children are clothed, fed, loved. You're doing a fantastic job. You don't need to do it all. And you know what? It's really difficult to do, but just take 5 minutes, leave the washing, leave that pile of crap, go and find yourself a little corner with a cup of tea, read a book, do something for yourself because you're doing a really good job. That's it.
I love that with my whole heart, and I think I'm going to do the same thing for myself today.
I think you should.
Thank you. I think you should.
I'm going to. I've got a cup of tea and I'm going to go and read my book, Living Deliciously, or whatever it is, because then that's going to tell me what a wonderful woman I am. So I need to read more of it.
If people want to learn more about what you do, if they want to work with you, how can they find you?
So I'm Simplified by George, and you can find me on Insta. That's where I hang out most of the time. I've got a website, but if you want to come and chat to me, come and find me on Simplified by George at Insta. And yeah, and I've got a membership that I run that I help people with. I do in person stuff. Might be a bit too far to travel to the US, though I'm willing if someone wants to pay.
It's so funny because I make these business connections through Insta. Most people don't know I'm actually in Vienna, Austria.
Oh, well, I definitely can work there. I'd love to. I would love to come and work in Vienna. I've never been to Vienna.
It's gorgeous. Not well, not today. Today our weather is actually decidedly British.
Yeah, it's really grey here today. It's been throwing it down with rain. It's miserable. It's grim. Yeah. So, but yeah,
Classic England.
yeah, it is very wet and grey and horrible, and makes you want to just stay in, curl up with a good book. That's what it makes you want to do.
In your simplified house that has been simplified by George.
That's the one.